Let's turn our attention back to the war in the Middle East following, of course, the Hamas terror attack on Israel back in October 7. Now, there are still 137 Israeli hostages being held somewhere in Gaza, and we've seen pictures out of Gaza today at how much damage has now been done there. But worse, Hamas has warned that none of them, and I repeat, none of them, will leave Gaza alive unless its demands for prisoner releases is also met. One of those hostages is 79-year-old Gadi Moses. Now, he was kidnapped from kibbutz near Oz on the 7th of October. That was the day of the terror attack, along with his ex-wife, 78-year-old Margalit. Now, Margalit was freed by Hamas during the ceasefire, but Gadi still remains hostage. Joining me now from New York, and I can't believe what he's been through, is Gadi and Margalit's son, Yair Moses. How are you holding up?
Very, very tough, very hard to hold up, yes.
You know, today when someone said it was the 7th of October, that is 2 months ago. It's such a long time. And when this terror attack happened and your parents were taken, I mean, I would have thought you would have hoped that there would have been a quicker resolution for both of them.
Of course, we hope so and wanted it to happen, but it didn't happen. Even my mother that was released was only after 49 days. She was in captivity. It's not something that happened quick. And my father now, it is already 65 days, more than 2 months that we know nothing about him. So yes, it's very, very hard. It's terrible, this situation. It's very terrible.
Explain to us, if you can, how you first came to find out that your parents had been taken from the kibbutz on the 7th.
Well, about my father, we know it because his life partner, Efrat, has updated that he was taken. She sent a message saying he went out from the safe room and told the terrorists that came into his home, take the car, take money, take me, leave the girls behind. Efrat Katz, was there with her daughter Doron and 2 granddaughters, Raz and Aviv. Unfortunately, later another group came into the same house and took them too, and Efrat was murdered on the way to Gaza. Doron and her daughters were kidnapped and released after 53 days. About my mother, we just, around 9:30, we just lost connection with her. We didn't know what happened, and we didn't know exactly what happened. After the IDF came and scanned all the kibbutz, we know that she wasn't there, and so we assumed she was kidnapped with many others. And after 2 days, there was a video released by Hamas when we saw that she was taken by 2 terrorists from the kibbutz.
Yair, I wanted to find out from you what your mother's told you about her time at the hands of these terrorists that kidnapped her. But let's just concentrate for a moment on your father. No news at all at this time. Nothing from Israeli intelligence. No idea where he is. Are you fearful now that Hamas has made this threat that unless they get their prisoners swapped, then none of the hostages will get out alive?
Of course I'm afraid, because he's a person that is almost 8 years old. We know nothing about the condition he's held. You know, even if without the Hamas threatening what they just threatening, we don't know what they're doing to him. We know nothing about him. Red Cross never saw him. He's almost 8 years old. With him, there are more people in this age. There are others that are wounded, maybe sick, that must get their medicines, and many other reasons. You know, even for someone in his 20s to be 65 days underground, it's not it's very bad. So elderly people or people who need their medicine, it's unbelievable. You cannot even describe what they're going through. So we are very worried, even without what Hamas is saying. And of course, they're threatening now, and we don't know if they're meaning or not, because as we know, Hamas is so cruel, so they can say anything and do anything. So of course, I'm afraid and worried about him.
Tell me what your mother told you about her time in captivity. Have you been able to find out much from her about how she was treated?
Yes, my mother she had a medical situation that she needed a breathing device while she's sleeping, and she didn't have it there. So for 50 days, she barely slept. In the beginning, there was a doctor that seen them, and she was sent with another group of elderly people that need some more medic care or something like this. But there is nothing there. And the solution he gave her when she said, I cannot lie down and sleep because I might die from it. So he told her, okay, sit on a chair and lean your head back and sleep like this. And I guess you understand it's not a way to sleep. So she barely slept, only for a few minutes from time to time, all these 50 days that she was there. Now she's a bit getting better. Finally, she was able to sleep very well, because here back she got a device, her color is back to her face, and slowly she's getting better physically. But the trauma is, of course, still there, and to take a long time to be able to live with, let's say it like this.
Yes, I was going to ask you, what do you think the long-term effects may be on her? I mean, post-traumatic stress disorder would be something that I would expect all of these hostages are going to now feel.
Everyone in Israel will have this and will have to deal with it in some day. I'm sure I will have to do it too. Currently, I'm not available for it because I'm worried and trying to fight for my father. And this is why I'm in New York now. I was here with the delegation of families, and we met many people. And just so important to put awareness, and this is why I'm talking to you now, that releasing the hostages must be number one goal for everyone, not in Israel, for the world, for humanity. Because what was done in Israel, it's not human. And everyone which has some humanity in him needs to understand that this must end as soon as possible today. Yesterday, 2 months ago, it has to end, and they must go home. And there is no doubt, no other option. This is what every human being needs to think and to know. It's not something that happened 2 months ago. It's something that is still happening. It's an ongoing thing. For us, it's a living hell for more than 2 months.
You're in New York, the home of the United Nations. You must have been extremely angry to hear the UN's opinion of the United States and Israel when it came to that vote in the United Nations where America abstained and stuck with Israel. You must be really angry about how some of the rest of the world is reacting to what's going on there.
Yeah, putting Iran as responsible for human rights it's the same, not serious, because, I don't think it needs more explanation. So, yes, the UN, again, also is a big disappointment because it's supposed to be for everyone, it's supposed to be humanitarian, but it's not. It's not doing what it's meant to be, to make sure people that were kidnapped from their home need to be home. I don't know of any other country in the world that would agree that something like this will happen to her. More than 10,000 missiles were shot on Israel in the last 2 months. And luckily we have Iron Dome, but not all of them did it. And so many bombs, so many people kidnapped, so many people murdered. I'm not familiar with any country in this world that disagrees that something like this will happen to her, and it will sit still and say, okay, please bring them back. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. So what Israel is doing now is reacting for attack happened against it. It's not something that Israel started. And it's doing whatever it needs. Israel is doing whatever she needs in order to bring her people home. And I believe each country will do the same.